Okay. There we go. Beep beep.
Yellow.
Oh, whoa.
Are we doing this in Discord or on Twitch, or how are we doing this?
The people said Twitch, so here we are. I currently have my funny little face on the screen. Now I have... Oop. Oop. There we go. Okay. And here we are on Discord call with you, who is Jay. And then I'm gonna...
Yes, that is me.
Yeah. And I'm going to awkwardly share my screen with you so that you can... that I will debate eating.
Oh, we're just going right away in Pokédex order?
Yeah. Because I don't remember, I'll never remember enough about Pokemon to have any any cohesive opinions otherwise. So it would be great to just start with the... Oh dear. Dear God. And this brief and alarming moment in which my computer shut itself down for no reason. So here we go. I'm obviously doing a thing. And then, oop. And it says, no, you're not. I'm gonna lock this computer now. Fuck you. Everything's horrible. Dear God. The Discord call glitched out. So we're gonna try this again. Beep beep beep.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now hearing you again. I don't know. Yeah.
Oh boy. I can't hear you at all. I don't know if you're talking.
Oh dear. That's not good at all. What if we just both... What if we just both disconnect at the same time and then do it again? Okay, I'm gonna disconnect. And then... So this stream is going off to a great start.
Yellow.
Yellow.
I can hear you.
Dear God, can it be true? I don't know why my computer shut down randomly, especially since it was at 100% power when it decided to do that.
Oh God. Oh, I keep forgetting you're on a laptop.
Yeah. And it was incredibly strange. Small man stream guarantees at least one thing's going to go horribly wrong.
My question earlier was, what kind of scale are we rating these guys on? Ability or how we cook them?
We're going to look at every Pokemon, like, just from visual impression, and I don't know, maybe we can look at the the wiki a little bit, and then we're going to assume that it's edible in some way, and then go about figuring out how it would be eaten.
Well, with Bulbasaur, it very much depends on what animal you think it is. Some people say amphibian, some people say reptile. Most obviously, you have the bulb, which could probably be pan-fried or steamed.
Yeah, the bulb, I'm pretty sure the bulb would be edible. Especially since it says that it's very nutrient rich, implying that it is canonically edible in some way.
It says there's seeds within, so it could be so technically a fruit.
Oh yeah. It could be a very scrumptious fruit.
Are you streaming my audio? Because chat is saying they can only hear part of the conversation.
Oh dear. Maybe it's computer audio. Can you make several beeping sounds in quick succession?
Beep boop bop 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 ba doop boop beep boop bop ba da ba ba ba.
Okay, that should be louder. Dumbass that I am, I always have computer audio very low for like game audio reasons. But those rules do not apply when there is no game and there's only a person talking. So in summary, we're assuming that the bulb is an edible fruit.
Well, we're assuming it's edible. It's probably not fruit-like in taste. It's probably more similar to a vegetable.
Like a tomato.
Looking at, I was actually going to say more akin to an onion, just in terms of the bulb shape and the different layers upon it. But I'm actually wondering if it would be more like a succulent. Like, how thick are those leaves, is what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah. Succulents are pretty edible.
Because this could be something more like a cactus fruit. Especially looking at the later evolutions.
Oh, you're right. Yeah. Cactus leaves and fruit are pretty edible.
I'd say just because it's nutrient rich doesn't necessarily mean that it would taste good. We have to remember this is also a poison type.
Oh yeah. I'm thinking that like maybe it's like a frog and you shouldn't eat the frog part because maybe it's a poison frog.
I do believe that its poison type attacks are largely like spore based. So that would imply that they come from the seed pod. So it could be similar to fugu, where you have to like carefully remove the poison and the rest is edible. So I'm just, the question here is not so much would it be good for you, but would it actually taste good?
Well, if we assume it's a cactus, with cactus leaves, they taste a little sour, and you do have to cook them. You can't really eat them raw because it's very chewy. A bit. But if you slice it into thin pieces and you like pan fry it a little bit, it's
you see like removing the leaves and pan frying those individually.
Yeah, you gotta like cut them into strips, and pan fry them, and it's kind of, cactus leaves are kind of vaguely sour and lemony.
Interesting.
Yeah.
They could probably make a pretty good, like, side to a dish, as like a garnish or something.
Oh yeah. And then the fruit. Uh, we're gonna have to look at the later evolutions. New rule in terms of edible Pokemon. If it evolves into something, you consider the entire evolutionary line as a whole in edibility.
Yeah, like at this point, there's definitely no longer a bulb. Um, so this definitely woun't be edible. I think if you want edible food, you're gonna have to get it from the starting point,
Yeah.
not from.
Only the baby is properly edible.
Yeah.
Well, in Ivysaur, maybe Ivysaur is still edible, but like no longer the leaves. And I think maybe the flesh looks kind of tougher. But it's
Yeah,
a bit.
I feel like all the nutrients would be inside the plant.
Yeah, in like the flower part.
Yeah, so I imagine that the flesh, the meat would be a lot like tougher, kind of
Yeah.
not necessarily inedible, but not good.
Yeah. Oh, you heard your folks here. Only the baby is edible. We're pro baby eaters here.
I mean, that's a thing in real life of like,
Oh yeah, there's the entire concept of like lamb and stuff.
yeah.
Uh, Venusaur, definitely just overall inedible.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I think at this point, at this size and at this age, I think if it's a poison type, the poison type body, I think the concentration of the poison is just kind of like too much. Probably
Yeah.
in
And
the
it wouldn't be
skin
it
and the
wouldn't be
flesh.
good meat anymore.
Yeah.
Like that's too old of an animal, I think. Yeah.
Maybe the
Are we
only
also
edible
considering the
part would
Gigantamax version?
be like the
Because
um,
those, like, what about those petals?
oh yeah, very oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Still
That
just
one
as
just looks just even more
inedible.
inedible.
Yep, still as uninviting and unappetizing.
Yeah. So the question is, what's in a corpse flower's petals? Because that's clearly what this is based off of.
Oh yeah.
There's also the question of, does Gigantamax persist after the animal's dead?
That is the greatest debate of all, I think. Someone in the
Also,
chat is
is this?
suggesting that the flower could be turned into teas.
Well, that's a good point.
Yeah.
I feel like it would be a good idea, like just in the essence of time, for us to find like one main edible thing rather than looking for at every single part.
Yeah.
Like for each Pokemon, we should figure out like one good dish.
Yeah. Right. So probably the overall verdict of the Bulbasaur line is only the Bulbasaur. Just the Bulbasaur. And maybe the Ivysaur. Definitely not Venusaur. I think overall we may have to discount Mega and Gigantamaxes because they're
Yeah,
inherently temporary.
agreed.
So like we can't say how stable that may be upon the slaughtering of the animal.
Agreed. Also, at that point, that's no longer livestock. That's a death wish.
Pretty much.
Alrighty, next line, I think.
Ancient Galar cavemen hunting down Gigantamaxes like woolly mammoths.
I mean, there is a woolly mammoth Pokemon.
Oh yeah. And now we've got Charmander. For no particular reason, I'm going to say spicy. I have no basis for this fact.
Well, I
It does
mean,
have
it's
a
a fire
fire.
type.
It does have fire right there. And as we all know, humans arbitrarily decided spicy is, is what hot tastes like.
I mean, it is. It feels like your mouth is on fire.
It
It
do.
it it make your brain go ouch.
It do make brain go ouch. Uh, just factoring the proportions, I would not say much of this animal is very edible
Yeah.
because the head is just like I don't think that's very edible.
Agreed.
That's just gonna be all bone under there.
Yeah. I hate to say it, but the Charmander line in general doesn't look particularly edible.
Like
I mean, they're just
maybe the hind legs and the
yeah.
tail, and that's it. The tail, you could probably do it like an oxtail stew, where you chop it up by its bone bits and then you put it in a stew, and that would be
Yeah,
a
but I feel like
spicy tail stew.
at that point it's less like this is a good meal you could make from this specific animal and more of like, I mean, I guess you could if you had to.
So true. So
Like
consensus,
with
kind of
any
edible on a
Pokemon,
technicality.
you can say, you got the bones, you've got well, not any because there's amorphous ones, but
Yeah.
in general, like I think, you know, the decision should be more, can we make a unique and interesting meal from this?
Mm.
And also, is this a good source of food? Of
Is
good
this the
food?
Bible livestock animal?
This bitch is just bone.
It's just even bonier.
Yeah. But now, Charizard adds wings to the situation,
It
as well
does.
as you've got breastbone or like
Oh yeah.
breast meat. Oh, and look at, you've got that stomach, you've got that tail.
Yeah, it does have a lot more meat on it.
Mm.
Somehow this is the exact opposite of the Bulbasaur line, in which the oldest looks the most edible.
And I also think we need to consider, like, we're assuming this is a realistic setting.
Yeah.
So the Pokemon would be more proportioned to what would, make sense. So there'd be a lot more meat around the chest area because of the wings.
Yeah.
And that tail would be all muscle.
Mm. That would be
Um,
like snake meat.
I don't know what snake meat tastes like, and I didn't know people eat it, but honestly, that doesn't surprise me.
Snake meat is it's a little bit like fish. It's just a muscle rope, and
Yeah.
the texture is very fish-like.
I imagine these guys would have a very, like, tough meat.
Mm.
So I'd say you'd probably want like a slow roast for these
Yeah.
guys. Use the fat the best you can.
A slow roast or a stew.
Yeah.
Do you think that like the edge tail part where the fire comes from, do you think it'd be like greasy?
Um.
Because the fire comes from somewhere.
Yeah, you'd probably want to cut off the end of the tail before using it.
Mm. Apparently,
Um.
it goes out when the Pokemon dies.
It's meant as like an indicator of how healthy they are. So it's like their own health and the fire kind of impact each other.
Mm.
Um. You'd also have to worry about removing the whatever organs create its fire.
Yeah.
Because I imagine, I imagine with Charizard, like you'd really have to avoid the internal organs and really just stick to the tail and the wings, both literal and like metaphorical, quote unquote, wings. Um, just to avoid rupturing, because they've probably got some kind of internal chemical sac.
Oh yeah, like the belly meat. It looks like it could be tender, but the risks of butchering the
Yeah.
animal would be too great.
It would probably, like, if people did eat it, it would probably be like a modern thing where it's like a, fancy new trend
Yeah, and
rather
using
than
more
something,
specialized equipment.
rather than something that has a history of actually being eaten.
Yeah. It's a fad food. It's not folk food.
Yeah.
Squirtle.
Soup.
Literally, the immediate answer is soup. It's a
You've
turtle.
already got the shell. It's soup.
Yeah, it's soup. I think the tail on at least the first two
Yeah.
evolutions would probably be
That's
at least
probably
tender.
probably a fatty deposit
Yeah, it looks
more
tender.
than a muscle.
Yeah. You never see it move much. It just follows the
Yeah.
momentum of the animal.
And it's got pretty like chubby legs too, like so even so that would be a decent amount of like fat and meat on it.
Yeah.
Biddy is crying out no, like we explicitly Aenor explicitly stated this is going to be a stream where we talk about eating Pokemon.
The title says "Eat all Pokemon." It's not about whether it's morally correct to
I'll
eat
be right
them,
back a second.
just how you would eat them. Okay. I'll be myself contemplating. Definitely the legs and tail on the baby would be very fatty. If you consider the head to be like representative of the actual animal and not just generic kawaii bullshit, uh, the cheeks would be decent. You can eat the cheeks on an animal. It's pretty good actually. Cheeks are another like pretty reliable fatty deposit.
Interesting. I don't know a lot about cooking and food, especially anything from outside the States. Um, the question here: what are the ears and tail made of? Is that
Yeah,
flesh or is that like feathers, scales, whatever?
great question. I wonder if it gives us a canonical answer. Apparently that's fur.
Oof.
So like there would be since apparently there's active like rudders.
Yeah.
So there's still like flesh under there, but it would kind of
Yeah.
be like
Definitely
you'd have to
not
like eat
nearly
that bread
as good
in order
as
to get
Squirtle, I
there.
would say. Now,
It's not
Blastoise
worth
is a
it.
whole nother story. If you can get it to load.
Yeah. If I can get it up there. It's getting there. There it goes. Immediately, I think the legs are very meaty.
Yeah. Immediately. But yeah, you've got the tail, you've got a big old belly. Some of that room must be dedicated to its propulsion system, whatever the heck that is. But that's still
Yeah.
a lot of fat.
Yeah.
This
I
is
think there would be a lot of fat around the shoulders where the blast thing is for shock absorption.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
So if while butchering the animal you can like de-socket the cannons, there's gotta be a lot of decent fat in there. And it's gonna be a different quality. And it's gonna be more of a jello-like quality. Because I'm thinking of the like fucking ballistics jello, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, Ezeal Echo is up a good point. The very dense bones, and I was gonna say, like, I can't help but wonder what kind of bone goes into those water cannons, even if it isn't necessarily like more nutrients or all that different. I can definitely see that being like a folk recipe, some variant of using those cannons just for the uniqueness of their material.
Oh yeah. Bone stock, yeah. That do make sense. And boy, that shell would make a really fuck-normous bowl.
You gotta patch it up a bit though.
Yeah, it does have the cannons. The belly would make a decent bowl.
Yeah.
The belly doesn't have cannon holes in it.
All right, on to the bugs.
My answer to most insects is to fry them because that's
Yep.
pretty much the only way you can really eat them. Like there's you can't really butcher an insect because
other than they're too bitty.
Yeah, they're don't because their organ system aren't as defined with its invertebrates. It's like a soup.
Yeah.
So nothing you can do.
I think you've got the same issue. Now, the question is Metapod's shell something you can bite through?
Oh, yeah. Also, I'm thinking, like, probably this antenna thing isn't very helpful. So maybe remove
Well,
that.
it is based on, so like the animal it's based on, that's basically a what's the word? I can't remember the word, but like it makes smells that make the animal less, it doesn't smell like food. I think I might be thinking of a completely different caterpillar species.
No, this is the stinky one. Emitted from its antenna, it appears. So
So yeah, you might want to. You said you can't butcher them, but it might not be a bad idea to like take that off.
Yeah. Remove that.
Although it could also be removed just by the frying process. Depends on like what, because it could be the heat denatures the poison on its own.
Well, with invertebrates, they kind of they decay pretty fast. So I think crucially remove the antenna before it does anything drastic, and then fry that shit immediately.
So again, here we have the question: can you bite into a metapod?
Let's see if
or wait, no, hold on. These guys are fucking huge, aren't they?
Yeah, they're pretty huge. There it is.
It's the same with Caterpie. Like, these things are the size of, like, a small cat.
Yeah, you need, like, a fucking walk.
Yeah, like, this wouldn't be like, like with mealworms where you can, like, fry a bunch of them. You'd have to do this, like, all on its own.
Yeah.
Like, how would you even eat that? Because, like, you bite into it and you can't, like, cut it up into strips. You just have to, like, I don't even know how to like, just take a giant fucking bite out of it.
When it's cooked, it's not like a soup on the inside anymore. So you can break it open.
That makes sense. I think that would make a good, like, yeah, that could be a pretty good meal. Just kind of like, it would be a fun meal too, where you get to, like, break it open. Like, I like some meals that have that where it's not just you stab it with a fork. You have to, like, you gotta earn it.
You gotta earn it a little bit. Yeah. It's a crystals. It won't really have any defined stuff. So it'll probably just be a very uniform meat if it's cooked.
Yeah. That actually sounds really good.
Uh,
I would eat that.
Maybe in the case of Metapod, it'd be like you could cook it more like a baked potato.
Ooh. You're making me hungry. Well, I have because of my sensory issues, I have a very, very like limited diet.
Yeah.
So it's very hard to find foods that I like. But just like the idea of like a consistent texture on a fried meat in a shell like that, just that's good.
Immediately, I
Butterfree.
do not think the wings are edible.
Oh, definitely not.
It's basically paper with powder on it.
Yeah.
There's no
And
saving
Butterfree
it.
isn't. It's actually like a little bit smaller than Metapod, I think.
Yeah.
It's like if you want to eat this guy, you're gonna want to make sure to harvest it before it hatches.
It also says that the scales on Butterfree wings are poisonous. So, like, first you'd have to get rid of the wings.
Yeah.
But you'd also have to consider the wing powder.
And they are like they are hairy, so it would definitely like stick to the body. At least I'm fairly certain they're hairy. They look like they are.
Yeah. Most butterfly insects are vaguely hairy.
Yeah.
The verdict Butterfree is that it's literally poisonous to eat. Just canonically. Just eat the babies.
Yeah.
What's the point baby eating?
What was that like?
More practical.
Like satirical essay of like, in order to defeat poverty, we should just eat the children.
A modest proposal by Jonathan Swift. We don't.
Modest aenor.
What?
It's a modest Pokeproposal.
Good.
This guy does not look as juicy as Caterpie did.
Definitely
this guy
not as juicy.
Looks a lot more crunchy and a lot more poisonous.
It does say it's poison type.
Like, I can see the appeal of like the crunch there, like similar to like a centipede or something, or a scorpion, where it's like you get a nice crunch.
It says that the pointy parts are poisonous, so you'd have to cut off the last joint here on the tail, and then you'd have to cut off its head, probably before cooking.
They are big enough that we can do this. It says it's about 1 foot long.
Yeah.
Let's make it into 1 foot long.
Yeah. So just like cut off the head, cut off the tail. Like every insect ever, you can fry it.
Yeah.
And once the meat is settled on the inside, you can probably like chop it up by its body joints.
Yeah.
And it would be like,
because it's got those distinct segments.
Yeah.
Izzy like Lecco is telling us to it's telling us to change the title because it'd be funny.
Change the title to what?
A modest Pokeproposal.
Like, God, I can do it for the VOD. The segments, it would be like meatballs, kind of, I think.
Yeah.
Or takoyaki. You could put it on a kebab.
Oh, that's a good point. I think it would definitely depend on the texture of the exoskeleton. Because if it's smooth, then you get a nice crunch. But if there's like hair on it, then it would have like I think it would just, the texture would just be too funky.
I mean, it looks smooth.
Agreed.
It says hairy, but it looks very smooth. Looks like it'd be funny meatballs. We have another Chrysalis Pokemon, which could be the sequel to Baked Potato.
Yeah, I don't think there would be any significant change here.
Yeah, it's exactly like the other crystalline Pokemon. Baked potato logic.
Although it does produce it notes. I wonder if either of these guys would be raised for their silk production.
I think so.
So I know that's
the silk,
how
I
like
think, would be edible. To my recollection, silk is like you can
I
do
mean, I
something
feel
with
like
it.
that would be a very expensive meal.
It would be, but
It's like the
it could
bitches who
be
put like
possible.
flakes of gold into their ice cream or some shit.
Oh, to be those bitches that put gold flakes in their ice cream. Now we've got Beedrill.
Beedrill is once again we've passed livestock and we've hit Death Wish.
We really hit that wish. Now, honestly, if there
Maybe
any like canonically poisonous areas we have to deal with here.
the only thing I can think of is the legs might be good. Because those are some
Maybe.
chunky looking legs. And I know people eat crab's legs.
I think probably the legs and not much else because like
Yeah.
the stingers, I think that's just a big pile of carrots. And
Yeah.
we're not getting much
Yeah,
out of
again.
the end. It's got that whole thing there. We're gonna use them. Good thing my YouTube video center just always automatically check mark. This is not a kids video.
Alright, so right off the bat, this is a bird. You can eat it.
You can eat it. You just gotta defeather it.
I honestly feel like we might just want to skip over these guys because there's not much we can add here.
That's true. It's just a bird. It's like similar to a pigeon or a quail.
It's not bizarre enough that we can have funny commentary about it.
Yeah. Basically, it would be like a smaller game bird, which means it's greasier than chicken.
Yeah.
And that's about all you need to worry about.
Although for once, it looks like in this instance they do get more edible as they evolve.
Yeah, because it's got bigger wings, so we have more breast meat.
Mm-hmm. You could definitely collect the feathers as well. Like those are some very pretty feathers. I can see them being hunted for decoration.
Oh yeah. The legs look edible. Not every bird leg is edible, and by legs I mean specifically the talon area.
Yeah. Well, with the earliest generations, the art style was a lot more like varying towards realistic. Like later on, you get very simplistic, like almost stick legs. Yeah. But here we've still got those like chonk legs.
Yeah, there's enough meats on the feet that what you can do with like stuff that's like chicken legs, you can fucking like steam it, and the cartilage inside becomes very soft, and you can just eat it like that. Which like it doesn't have much taste on its own, but it takes to seasoning very well.
Interesting. I'm learning so much. Someone should probably message Karma17 since we're done with bugs. Saying that to the chat.
We're no longer in bug moment. And we've got the biggest bird.
Well, for now.
Yeah, the biggest bird of the current birds.
Which, again, it sure is a bird. I don't think there's much we can say here.
It sure is a bird. You just eat it.
Now, it is mainly a rat, but it does have a very interesting tail. So I'm wondering that a lot of that could just... it could mostly just be fur.
The tail would be pretty edible.
But it could also be a fatty deposit.
Yeah. It looks chonky enough that there'd be a bit of fat. it's kind of like a chicken tail.
Yeah.
Chicken tails are very big.
I can't see these guys being a common meal, though. Probably more like a relatively obscure, like, folk food. And not... Yeah.
Yeah, like that's the... Rattata. How big are these fishes?
Yeah, it seems like for most of the animals, it just defaults to 1 foot. It's like they just... It's like that's the default, like, number, and they just didn't fill it out. Like, they just left it at default.
Is there something wrong with the square cube law in the Pokemon universe?
I mean, the smallest Pokemon there is also the heaviest one. I think that's Cosmome, where it's like basically a black hole, but it's alive.
Never a good thing to have. Rats. Rats are just like too similar to humans in terms of like the diseases they can carry.
The whole thing about the tail was actually referring to Rattata.
There's not really a lot of edible parts on Rattata. The head is like too big.
I thought the tail was bigger than it is, but it's really...
Yeah. Just overall, there's not a lot of edible flesh on this animal. Like rats...
I'd put it as, like, technically edible, but not really a food.
Yeah, like, speaking from my rat knowledge, they don't have, like, even, like, the belly looks fat, but that's just the organs. There's not a lot of meat in there, which I think would probably apply to its subsequent evolution as well, which only looks bigger because it's hairier.
Yeah. How big is this one?
How big is this one? It's 2 feet.
That's not a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Rodents in general, they don't have a lot of meat for their size. Unless it's like a rabbit, because you got the leg.
These guys don't even have that. Yeah, I was gonna... Because you said cheeks are a thing to eat?
Yeah. Cheeks are pretty...
You also have to consider that Alolan Raticate are an invasive species. So it could be...
Therefore, it's morally correct to eat them.
So it could be like, people making recipes. It's like, hey, we need to get rid of all these guys. Let's eat them. So I can definitely see that being not a folk meal, but a relatively recent, like, local cultural thing.
It's a circumstantial meal. Oh.
Yeah, Bulbapedia is not nice to computers.
It really isn't.
Bird. It's a bird.
No. Well, I'm not sure how edible it is compared to the previous bird, because it looks a little bit more armored.
Yeah. I think this would be equivalent more to, like, I think this would be a much more like flighty bird. I mean, obviously it's flighty. It's a bird. It can fly. But like, Pidgey is more akin to, like, ironically enough, more akin to like a sparrow than Spearow is.
Yeah.
Because names are...
I think this would be more of like a very tough bird. You'd have to cook it for longer. And I think mostly just the legs would be edible. Not much else.
Yeah, and once again, it's like, it's not... I mean, it's edible, but it's not super worth it.
Yeah. Circumstantial meat.
Yeah.
bony. Maybe you could eat it like a goose.
Yeah, it definitely looks like a fishing or diving bird.
Yeah. This is like a fucking steam it in a pot. Steam it in one of those really tall pots kind of. And then we got a snake.
Do you know that
What
Ekans
snakes you
is
can
snake
prepare
backwards?
Wow. And then you get the Japanese name is fucking Cobra. It's Cobra backwards. It's just Cobra
This is
backwards.
Arbok without a K.
This is an Arbok missing a K. And that's just Cobra backwards.
It is midnight.
Yeah. With this snake, I think that's the fucking rattler. There is no meat in
Yeah,
there.
interestingly enough. So I did watch some of the original Pokemon anime. At no point did I see Ekans use its rattle. I don't think that changes anything. I just thought that was odd.
Weird. But that structure is like.
Oh yeah, it's
that
just
structure
hollow.
is just like a layer of bones. So like, just for yeah, like just remove that because that thing is just gonna fuck the surface area of the beads. That's all. With fish, you can guys or you can like cut it by the sides.
It is a poison type, but I don't think you'd have to worry as much as long as you just remove the head.
Yeah, just don't need the head, and you're fine. With Arbok,
it's also 11 feet long. It
depends on the internal structure of the hood here, really. Yeah, that too. Like, is that retractable anyway, or is that a permanent feature?
Well, what it is it's the ribs stretched out. So like it doesn't like fold inwards, but it kind of folds down. So like it's not a stiff structure, it is a muscular structure. And it can be like extended out. Not a lot, but yes.
Like me.
It would be especially around the ribs and the base of the ribs. Yeah. And it is like this would be like I mean, this isn't just like this isn't a meal, this is like a full on, feed an entire village kind of thing.
Yeah. And of course our beloved franchise in
Logic out the side of the window. We can and we will eat this.
Yes. It does have.
The question
have meatier legs than the previous rat Pokemon.
How does its electric typing affect its internal anatomy?
Most of the electric rats, from my understanding of Pokemon, all of the electric rats, their electricity is in like the bright colored cheek thing.
Yeah.
So specifically remove the cheek thing. And then you're good. Because otherwise, if you cook it while those things are in the body, it'll probably explode or some shit.
Well, I don't know what the effect of electricity is on meat. Because if their internal system is like resistant to their own electricity, like that could end up giving it a different texture. Not necessarily a bad one. But I don't know what kind of systems would be required for that electrical resistance. Which electric types aren't resistant to electricity from other electric types, but I imagine, they'd have to withstand their own electricity, and it's like part of their communication, all that.
Yeah.
And they can like send harmless electric currents to each other.
Yeah. As with any rat Pokemon, it won't have much meat, but compared to the last rat Pokemon, it does have chunkier back legs.
Yes. And we also have a moral obligation to eat it.
True. Oh no. Accidentally clicked on the girl Pikachu. You can tell it's a girl because of the heart thing. Because this is one of the few Pokemon they bothered doing gender dimorphism for.
There's actually more of them than I thought that have sexual dimorphism. It's just very like minor things.
Yeah. On Pikachu, the girl ones, they have heart tails.
Yeah. Which is kind of dumb.
Yeah. On this episode of Cartoon Animals Follow Human Gender Norms for no reason. And we all know hearts are a female shape for some fucking reason. Now, with Raichu, it's more of a rabbit, really.
Yeah.
Like, it's just
How big's this guy?
Overall. That's 2 feet. It's a rabbit.
Yeah, that's a rabbit.
So remove the electric cheeks so that it does not explode when you cook it, and it's basically
now the question is, what is the Alolan Raichu's tail made of? Because that could be edible.
Maybe it's like a beaver tail. Beaver tails are like fatty. The Alolan Raichu looks more tender overall.
It is also a psychic type.
Yeah. Which means that it relies less on its like physical superiority.
So it would definitely be a lot fattier.
Yeah. It's going to be a much tender meal, and apparently Alolan Raichu they eat a lot of sweets, so it's just going to be a more tender, sweeter meat overall. Potentially, this will also apply to the normal Raichu.
Yeah.
That little tail thing right
well, the tail, they use it as like to ground themselves. So it can like stiffen up and become like a flat, like almost spike. But normally it's soft, so that does imply that there's a lot of muscle in there.
Conclusion, tasty.
They're just straight up getting military propaganda and Amazon ads.
Yeah, I don't know. Every time you see the website isn't working, it's literally specifying the ad isn't working, like I should care.
Yeah. Yeah.
The website itself is functioning.
Now, I'm a little bit sad about saying about eating these guys, because they are based off of pangolins.
Yeah, they are based off of an endangered species, but alas, it's about how we eat them, not whether or not we should eat them.
Correct. I have no issue with eating the babies, but eating the babies of an endangered species, I'm sad about. Also, I just realized its Japanese name is literally just sand.
God. No. Considering that not only does it have like really tough scales, it's also one of the rat Pokemon. Yeah, its edibility is really brought down a lot.
But the Alolan one probably has some level of blubber.
Oh yeah.
Like, it looks fatter than the other one.
It does.
Now, I don't I
looks
don't know what's
stronger
going on with its
overall.
head. I don't know if those are
You
scales or
can
if that's a layer of fat. But I don't really know if you can, like, eat the head. Yeah.
No, heads aren't ever very edible on animals, except for
Yeah.
like around the cheek and the snout. That's about it. So, normal Sandshrew
Yeah.
is very edible. A lowland Sandshrew looks like it could be softer fattier.
We should definitely keep track of how far we get on this, because I feel like this definitely deserves another stream.
Or episode. It's an epic saga.
Yes. We're gonna do it.
I'm going to immediately say this is not very edible. Because like it looks chonky, but all of the chonk is from
But
its
that's
massive
really
spikes.
just the scales.
Yeah, it's just the spikes.
Yeah.
Tail. Tail could be fatty. That's it.
But again, I feel like that's we're getting to the point of, like, you know, the absolute, like, you know, we could use the bone, we could use this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Minor notes. The quills would not be able to use this shop because it's not bone, it is basically air. So
yeah.
That's just a no-go. The rat.
No, Nidoran.
The rat's both fat.
Yeah, it's fattier, but it is also poisonous. Like, it's like a lot more explicitly poisonous.
Yeah.
Most of them have the ability Poison Point, which means that any physical attacks done to them cause poison to whoever attacked them, so that we can assume
apparently
that
it
it's
secretes poison from its horn and spines, so this is a copper fish, basically.
Yep.
So copper fish logic applies.
Yeah.
And which you'll have to remove so very much.
Yeah. Like, you could domesticate them, probably. I mean, they're often used for, like, unexperienced trainers, which just seems like a bad idea, really. But I feel like it just wouldn't be worth it to bother just because of how much effort it would take. Yeah.
And we're not kill someone by eating.
It's Fugu, but without the, like... It's Fugu, but it's a rat.
Rat Fugu. With the bigger ones, they're still poison, but you know, the poison parts are kind of like more obvious and hypothetically easier to remove.
Yeah. But it's also a lot tougher, I think.
Yeah.
Like, there is definitely fat and muscle under there, but not as much.
Yeah. Nidoqueen, it's huge, but we are already experiencing toughness in the middle evolution.
Yeah.
And this bitch looks literally armored.
Yep.
A lobster, but even less worth it. And then I'm noticing that Nidoqueen has titty armor.
I mean, it could be a mammal.
Oh yeah. Really, the rats aren't, the titties are come on the stomach.
I'm not gonna tell it where it needs to put its tits.
The next three ones are just the male version of the exact same thing we just walked through.
Yeah.
So like the answer is the same. It's Fugu rat.
Yeah. But even worse, because they're not quite as round.
Yeah. Fugu but rat, but even less worth it. I mean, look at them, they look even more hard.
Yeah.
Fugu lobster. There's just so much happening here. And we get the Clefairy.
Now we're getting back to the tender meat.
Get to the tender boys.
I actually, I mentioned that you had said something about like doing a stream where you eat every Pokemon, or like talk about eating every Pokemon to my mom, and she just kind of stood there in silence for a good minute and then said, I'd eat a Jigglypuff.
I mean, yeah, fucking, that makes sense.
Biddy's just losing it over the tender meat. Am I wrong? Look at that.
Cheeks would definitely be tender. I think the tail.
Yeah.
It's got like a big tail on the back, right?
Yeah. And these guys rely mainly on their like psychic and fairy nonsense, so there wouldn't be a lot of like this would be a very fatty meat.
Yeah. Just a very fatty meat overall. Probably extremely easy to debone. Depending on how little it relies on its body at all. It could be like shark bones where it's more cartilage.
Yeah. And it's also like 2 feet tall but properly round, so that's an orb of that's a 2-foot orb of mostly meat.
Yeah, a 2-foot orb of tender meat. And this is a 4-foot thing of tender meat.
Yeah, and the tail just gets bigger.
Yeah.
Like, that's definitely like a fat deposit, like you see on like fat-tailed sheep and the like.
Yeah.
Because its tail doesn't do anything.
Apparently the pink things in the back are wings. So we got wing meat.
Yeah. Yeah, but I don't think it'd be very much. Like, I did apply, animal anatomy to Charizard, but I don't think that applies as much here.
Yeah.
I imagine those wings would be more like communicative displays and the like than actually functional.
Very fair point. Vulpix, I don't think it's very edible.
Yeah, these tails are mostly fur.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the tails could have had a chance, but they're mostly fur.
Yeah.
It's not really worth it to eat it.
Now, Ninetales canonically will curse you for the rest of your lifetime if you even touch its tails.
Like, you could eat it, but at what cost?
Yeah.
Eat Ninetales if you want to have a really weird medical history. And also it's the thing with like carnivorous animals are just kind of less edible overall for the most part.
Yeah.
Because they're tougher and also because they eat other animals, any residual toxins in the body of their prey
get built up in
their skin and internal organs.
Yeah.
So depending on a diet, a carnivorous animal poses more health risks to eat than a prey animal.
Yeah.
So overall, it's entirely possible to eat a Ninetales.
There is meat there.
Like the fucking ribs and the legs. But,
again, at what cost?
Yeah, edible at what cost. And finally, Jigglypuff, Pokemon your mom would eat.
This thing... So, my only concern with this thing is that it seems to mostly just be a head.
Which does remove a lot of the meat possibilities.
Yeah. It's like, how much of that is dedicated to, like, the brain casing and the eye sockets?
Yeah.
Can you eat eyes?
You can eat eyes. As long as it's properly cooked, you can't eat eyes.
Bugs, I was okay with. The eyes, that I'm gonna have to say that's the first food we're getting to that crosses the line for me. Ugh.
Yeah. So, like, if you're into eating eyes, Jigglypuff's pretty edible.
Yeah.
And then the cheeks. There's always the cheeks.
We can see it, like, in the anime, puffs its cheeks up pretty big, so.
Yeah. So, not as edible as expected. Not worth it. I think its older counterpart is far more edible overall.
Oh yeah, it's just as round, it's got a defined head and body.
Yeah.
Not much in the way of limbs, but enough, like, roundness that there's definitely some fat and some muscle in there.
Yeah, I think it would be a very fatty meat.
Yeah. And this one's at 3 feet, so that's a decent amount of meat.
You could use the meat for, like, as a soup stock. With the amount of fats in, or you could use it as the lard for other dishes. That is the concern when you have extremely fatty or greasy meat. You have to do something with the extra fat that it leaks out.
Yeah.
And so it wouldn't, on its own, it would probably be, like, too rich to eat, but if you incorporated it into a larger overall dish, it would be good. Up next, we have bats. Bats suffer the same problem as every rat Pokemon in that there's just not a lot of flesh.
Yeah. Not to mention the whole disease issue.
Yeah, it's no flesh and very disease transferable to humans.
Doesn't have, like, a head or legs either.
Yeah. We don't know how much is the skull, the least edible part of the body.
Yeah. And we have the same issue with Golbat, where it's like, it's mostly just mouth.
Like, maybe you could eat the tongue. That's about it, though.
Yeah, that's about it. Doesn't even have a visible tongue.
Yeah.
It's just void.
Oddish, it's a fucking radish.
Correct.
Oh yes, the weed Pokemon.
Podium Wonderus. It's also nocturnal, bears a sensitive body in the ground during the day. So yeah, that'd definitely be a very, like, soft root vegetable, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know how edible the
You could
yeah, I don't know how edible the leaves would be.
Howling.
Especially looking at its later evolutions.
Yeah. The leaf would probably be kind of tough. Maybe it's like a seasoning leaf. I don't know.
Yeah,
bay leaf.
I can see that. I mean, it wouldn't be the first thing, first actively poisonous thing that we've used to season our food.
I do not trust the bulbs on its head at all.
Meatballs.
Yeah.
Cursed meatballs.
I think if you would want to eat this, you should probably remove everything that's going on top of its head.
Yeah.
And it's still
and it's also, like, that quote-unquote drool, like, that's a very sweet, like, sap, I believe. I think so.
Yeah,
oh, God.
It's an
It's got its eyes open. I don't like that.
Over here.
Seen some things.
Apparently, the flower Just like
Biddy and Izileko are yelling at me to not eat it. Yeah.
you eat it, not the balls. This is the perfume. Just smells inedible.
Yeah.
Consider the kinds of things that go in perfume.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I think again, eat the root,
Eat
not
the root,
the flower. Gloom is an investment you wait to eat, says Biddy. Here we go. This is a proper 2-in-1 meal right there. You've got fried crustacean with mushrooms.
Real true. Just cook it fresh.
Yep.
As with all crustaceans, you must cook them fresh.
Apparently people are finally realizing that, hey, it's not okay to just throw it live into a boiling pot of water. Which, the fact that it's taken us this long...
It's because there was an actual practical reason for it, but I think modern technology has progressed enough where that is no longer a necessity.
And also, we've, found ways of recognizing that, oh, hey, these guys have pain receptors.
Yeah.
And we're literally boiling them alive.
It did take the Western world a concerningly long time to view animals as something other than, like, machines which exist for the human convenience.
Yep. Well, you're assuming that isn't still the case.
Yeah. That was a thing that they would just actually write in scientific books. Like, yeah, animals are basically just machines that you can use.
Yep. And then God created the heavens and the earth for mankind.
Woo!
And gave him every animal in the Garden of Eden to name.
Yep.
And then we cut it down for fuel. Anyways, this bitch looks delicious.
The claws look extremely edible. And
I didn't even think about that, yeah.
In terms of the mushroom, I think it's a little bit different in the case of compared to the baby. With this mushroom, this bitch is 3 feet long. You could turn that mushroom into a steak mushroom.
Ooh.
You can grill it. You could grill that bitch like a steak.
You definitely have to be careful though, because again, that is it's not a poison type, but it does have effect spore and other spore moves.
Yeah. I think in terms of butchering, it would be more practical to separate the mushroom from the crabby thing.
Yeah.
And like cook them separately. That is extremely fuzzy, and I don't trust that.
Also, is this one also exactly a foot?
Let's find out. It's 3 feet.
It's 3 feet. Okay.
The answer to most bugs is that you can fry them, but like this thing's mostly head.
Yeah.
It's just a head.
Yeah.
And Venomoth, I assume it's gonna have the same problem as the previous butterfly ones, in which you remove the dusty wings and there's not much else going on.
Yeah.
And the scales are poisonous. That can cause paralysis.
Of course they are. Of course they are.
Well, paralysis doesn't mean death, so eat it if you want to trip balls.
Venomoth meat, brought to you by the same people who discovered capsaicin.
Eat it if you want to see the same horrors that Venomoth receives.
Venomoth, you too can mega evolve.
Dangles. See, my thing with Diglett is I don't know what's under that.
Yeah,
I don't know
it
what's under
really
there.
it
It's a
we
mystery.
don't have enough information.
It looks like a sausage.
Yeah.
I instinctively want to call it a sausage, but I have no idea
It
what's under
looks
there.
it looks like a hot dog.
It really does. Like it says it's a mole, which potentially means it's a rat. But like I see
I
no
don't
inkling of its body.
I don't like moles. I mean, they're really cool, I think, but there's just something about their body structure that's just inherently unpleasant.
Admire them from a respectable distance.
Yeah, and try not to think about their shoulders too much.
Yeah, no. Now you mention it, mole shoulders is kind of. Eh. They're just troncular in all the wrong ways.
Yeah. So same applies to Dugtrio, I'm guessing. Still mysterious, but triply so.
Yeah. Mysterious sausage.
Yeah.
Not enough data to debate its culinary capabilities.
Azuleko is saying that it's obviously a tuber.
It's either a hot dog or a potato. We do not know which is which. Lowland Dugtrio is just fashionable. The mysterious
It's
hot
one
dog
of
potato.
it's one of those Pokemon that I want to hate, but I can't bring myself to do so.
A Lowland
It's
Dugtrio.
just too stupid. Like it's crossed the line of hatred, and I just love it now because I hate it so much.
Meowth. Again, the predatory animals problem.
Yeah.
You could eat it, but it's not very practical to.
It's also stated that they have a tendency towards like collecting metals.
Yeah, it would probably be poisonous to eat due to the metal
Yeah.
poisoning. The metal poisoning alone would not be practical for consumption.
Also, people might actually get mad at you for eating it because it's a cat.
Yeah. Like, edible if you want iron poisoning.
Yeah.
Same thing with Persian, since it is just the Meowth, but more.
Yeah. So you've still got metal poisoning, and now you also have, poisoning from whatever they're eating.
Yeah. Fatty cheeks, but not worth the metal poisoning.
Yeah.
Next up we got Psyduck. It's a duck.
It is a duck.
It's a duck with a fatty tail.
Yep.
That's pretty straightforward.
And weird headache powers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even got a joke for this.
It's just a duck. Yeah,
It's a duck.
to a can. It is greasier than chicken, so you do have to deal with it. As long as you have another side food to use the grease for, you're fine. The grease on ducks means that if you roast or fry them, the skin is very crispy.
Also, Azuleko, again, we are completely ignoring ethics here and entirely looking at, is it edible? Like, canonically, these are all completely sapient creatures, depending on what canon you go for. But they are also just straight up animals.
Yeah.
Because there is no canon and nothing is real.
So true. Golduck. It's a duck. It does have more tail.
Yeah. It's definitely got more like lean meat on it though.
Yeah, it's leaner. Being webbed, it does complicate editability of the legs, because like the web skin, it's kind of tough, so that impacts the editability of the legs overall.
Yeah, well, it's just the feet.
Potentially,
it's just the feet, and not like you've got like the upper leg there still.
Yeah, the upper leg is still completely fine.
Yeah, just I think the feet wouldn't be.
You probably have to remove like the little red thing that's on its head.
Yeah.
I assume that's some good. Mine had something to do with the tiger powers it had at some point.
I still don't understand that. Like, I can't believe that Psyduck and Golduck aren't psychic types.
Yeah.
Gem on its forehead glows when it uses its psychic powers, and occasionally when it swims at full speed.
Yeah, so definitely remove the gem so that it doesn't do something funky.
I do not want to know what the, like, temperature stress reaction to, or on a, psychic gemstone.
Yeah.
We've once again run into the problem of it's a head.
Yeah, it's a head.
So many of these Pokemon have the same bow plane as a cephalopod.
It's just a head. You can't really do much with it. Maybe the legs, but like, that's it. It's a head.
Yeah. It's a head.
Subsequent evolution, it's still a head.
It's a head, but it can punch you harder.
Head but anger.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll taste like pork. It's got a pig nose.
It's danger pork, though.
Punchy pork.
Yeah.
Up next, we got Growlithe. Predatory animal problem.
Yes. Again, eat the babies, but not the puppies. I'm just thinking of the, like, you know, it starts with the, you know, what's heavier, a pound of rocks or a pound of feathers, and it's like the feathers because you have to live with what you did to those poor birds.
Yeah. Growlithe. It looks tender, but the problem with eating predatory animals.
Yeah. And also a lot of that is fur.
Yeah, most of that is fur. Arcanine looks very lean meat, but in like not the positive way.
Yeah. It's like technically a tiger is edible.
Yeah, it's basically.
But it's a very big technically.
It may be 2 feet long, but it's a head.
Yeah, but how much of that is even skull though? Like it could have a fairly flat skull there, especially if it's like it's a tadpole.
Oh yeah, frogs do have like very pancakey skulls. Oh.
Do people eat tadpoles? Is that a thing?
Maybe, but it's not very edible.
Yeah.
Like the back, maybe.
I think this would be one of those like fancy foods. Where it's like it's not really a food, you just eat it because you're rich.
We have to eat it, else will people know we're rich?
I don't know how much of this is mouth.
Yeah.
I don't know where the mouth is.
Also, like, here's the thing. It's a frog. Frogs are edible. But the most edible part of a frog is the legs. Which it's very lacking.
Yeah.
It's lacking its most potentially edible part. So it's not very worth it. It's very cheap.
Yeah. I bet it'd be really slimy too.
No, ironically, frog does. It tastes mostly like chicken. I've never
Never
had the
eaten a
skin.
frog.
Yeah, I've never had the skin though, so I can't vouch for the texture of frog skin when it's cooked. Polyrath. I think this is the most edible out of this brethren.
Yeah.
It
It's
has
got like
buff
actual
arms.
like yeah, instead of buff legs.
Yeah.
It's
It's got buff arms.
also
You can
4
go
feet
for it.
tall.
Yeah.
So that's about what, 2 feet of arm?
Yeah.
We're measuring arms and feet. I love the Imperial system. It's such a normal system to use.
The normal and model of two systems sustained only by national pride.
I have tried to learn the metric system. I really have. I swear. It's not a matter of like I think Imperial is better. It's a matter of I it numbers.
I'm referring to the national pride of people continuing to change.
That's fair. Yeah, I didn't get a choice in the matter.
Yeah, like, you don't get it. You don't get a choice when you grow up with the imperial system.
Yeah.
So Polyrath, it's pretty edible. Now Abra is a psychic Pokemon, which, as I've established, means it's potentially very tender. But like, is this
Yeah,
an
I mean,
herbivore or a predator?
it literally just sleeps.
Yeah. Is this an
Which
herbivore or a predator though? How much meat is this
I would
guy
actually
eating?
say insectivore.
It does have a very tiny mouth.
Like I can see that having like one of those like fuck off huge tongues.
Yeah, it does have a very tiny mouth. So
And it would make
makes
sense with
sense.
it like it wakes up, it eats like an entire like ant nest and then just goes back to sleep.
Tail looks very edible.
Yeah. So
In
now the
fact,
question is how much of that is fur and how much of that is like bone?
That's
It's got
true.
like plating almost.
It does have that blading. The tail kind of like curves,
Yeah.
so tail potentially edible.
Yeah, the rest of the
Very
body is
so.
very very skinny.
And very skinny and presumably even skinnier
Now
with the weird
that's
armor.
a tail. That is a tail.
That is an
And like
extremely
look at the
edible
way
tail.
look at the way it folds. That's definitely fat. That's not fur.
Yeah, that's an extremely edible tail. Uh, looking at the armor parts, maybe it would be like a lobster, but only maybe.
It's a very cursed lobster.
The worst lobster.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely mostly just the tail. I would imagine it's like
Yeah.
it could be that it like burns through like fat when it uses large amounts of psychic power, thus the extreme fat deposits.
Yeah.
This guy is just
It's
there's no meat
bones.
there.
It's bones.
Yeah.
Like maybe the lower legs have a chance, but
Like
like, it's bones.
it's just the world's weirdest broth.
Basically. Soup applications of it. Even comes with freeze bones. It's a soup.
Looks concerningly like a small child.
It sure does. I don't know what's going on its chest, like if it's like gills or something.
I think it's like its ribs. I don't know. Three
rib-like
yeah.
stripes, but doesn't specify their ribs. The entire body is
Biddy is just saying, don't worry about that.
muscles that will never tire or cramp.
Yeah. Yes, titty gills.
It's probably not very edible. You have to just look at this knife for like
Wait, hold on. What? Look at its Japanese name.
Wait, what?
Go back. It's worth it.
I love it.
Yeah, this line just keeps getting buffer as it goes.
And the baby is arms super tough in
Yeah.
terms of meat.
Like, this is the quickest we've hit, no longer livestock.
Muscles are hard as steel, so like, yeah, I know, but nobody's eating that.
The quickest we've hit no longer livestock, currently a death wish.
Yeah. This meat has industrial applications only.
Yeah, this one just gets buffer and now it has more arms.
This is just a JoJo stand.
It is! I was actually about to make that joke.
This is a JoJo stand, and I'm not going to test my survivability. Trying to eat a JoJo stand. It's just impossible.
So now my question here is, do people eat carnivorous plants? Because they create a very, like, sweet, like, sticky substance to trap stuff. I mean, this guy isn't... there's not really any food on there.
Yeah.
I don't think it's really just twig.
The stem and leaves, I don't think they're very edible. Potentially, the flower could create a renewable syrup.
Ooh, yeah. Oh, I like that idea of just having like a bell sprout, just like in like a little potted plant in your kitchen.
Yeah. So this thing
that would actually be really cute.
Yeah. This thing, I don't think the flower is very edible, but renewable syrup. Cruelty-free edibility.
The only thing here that's cruelty-free. You can live.
They say after swans and baby eating.
I don't like this.
It's a head.
I don't like it. I don't like it.
It's lost its sweetness a bit because it's acid now.
So 3 feet long, and I think that's a bit too big for a kitchen plant.
Yeah. The baby's all
Biddy is telling me you can in fact eat pitcher plants. Apparently there's a food that's made from white rice wrapped in pitcher plant.
Finally, a use for the bigger ones. Use them as rice pouches.
Weeping Bell confirmed edible.
Surprisingly, the baby was the one that got to live, and the adults become rice pouches.
I think this one's too big for a rice pouch, I'd say. It's 5 feet.
Yeah,
like with the other one, like I can see you like stuffing it and then like cutting it up. But this is just that
apparently this one is
Yeah,
very
this, I'd say avoid
sweet,
and or
as
use as a
long as
garbage
you
can.
keep feeding it more victims.
It's
It's
jellyfish.
a jellyfish. Jellyfish are edible, except the problem here is that edible part of the jellyfish is supposed to be like the body part and the fucking
Honestly,
head
like,
area.
structurally, these guys make me think more of, like, a squid.
No, that's true. It's a squid.
Like, they've got squid tentacles.
Yeah, it's got like the two things.
Yeah, and it's got, like,
Squid
a body head thing. People eat squid. That's a thing. That's calamari, I think?
Yeah.
Or is that snail? That's snail's escargot.
It's a squid. You can just not calamari squid. Yeah.
I wonder if those, like, I wonder what those those globules would taste like.
With squids and octopus.
Although they might also be poison sacs. So you can find out what they taste like exactly once.
Maybe the fucky poison psychic things, so those may need to be removed.
Biddy says sip it and find out. I'm gonna ignore the part where it says, like, it's 99% water and 1% poison, because that's not how animals or anything works. Especially seeing as these have significantly more functionality than, you know, a literal jellyfish.
Yeah. Once again, it's a squid.
Danger calamari, but still calamari.
Yeah. You can just chop off the tentacles.
Yeah.
Into manageable squares. With any squid octopus, I will also just drying it because like these things are very chewy. You cook them, it's like it's easier to eat them when they've got a crunch on the outside.
Yeah.
It's just mechanically easier to eat them when they've got crunch on the outside.
This is a rock.
It's a rock. Maybe it can be a result.
The only thing we've got.
That's all we got, man.
Yeah, that's a rock.
That's it. It's a rock, and also if it was a rock, it's the head. Next we got
which is also a rock.
Which is also a rock. Also a head. Just like even worse, kind of.
Yeah. Like even if there were meat under there, that's just so tough. Like it would be way too hard just to get to it.
It's like trying to skin a crocodile. You'd have to like shave all the rocky looking bits.
Now this is so this is definitely a deviation away from literally just a rock.
Yeah.
But it doesn't look that edible. I mean, it's got big legs, but
yeah, probably a similar toughness to the rock thing here.
Yeah.
So like, it's a step up from rock in that it's an alligator, but like impractical to skin.
They remind me of the freaking God. You know the like Man After Man book where it's like hypothetical evolution but incredibly cursed.
Is this a future man?
Yeah, the vacuumorphs, they look like avocados with legs. They're like hyper engineered humans that are built to survive the vacuum of space, but they only live like 20 years because they're basically just drones because people didn't want to build robots, I guess. Seems like it would be an easier option.
It's the Among Us man.
No, it's worse. It's significantly worse.
It's a horse. It's a spicy horse.
I'm actually gonna pull up an image just so you can see what I have to suffer.
Okay.
So I actually have the PDF on my computer.
Ponyta here. It's a spicy horse. That's
We'll
just
probably
the
eat
gist
horse.
of it. Yeah, you can eat horse. It's like any
It's
other
one of those
stock.
things where it's like, it exists near humans, we've probably eaten it.
Yeah. It's not much different than eating a deer or a cow. Same game.
Well, no, I don't think this would count as game.
I mean, like, same ball. I'm just now realizing that
Yep.
I'm saying the very horrible man you say, and I hate it, and you're correct, that's Gollum.
The skeleton is worse. Give me just a moment. So you know moles, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hate that.
Uh-huh.
There's so much going on there.
Yup. I had to see it.
Which is...
I had to see it, now you had to as well.
Which is again, spicy horse.
Yep.
The Galarian versions of the Ponyta line are psychic and fairy, so tender horse.
Tender horse at the risk of fey shit.
Yeah.
And now we have Slowpoke, the one that is actually canonically food.
Yeah. Don't they have, like, infinitely regenerating tails that people use as meat?
No, they don't. They don't, but they are hunted for their tails.
That's very
and in the Galar region, you can actually eat Slowpoke tails.
No. Look. They have infinitely regrowing tails.
Really?
Yeah, like a lizard.
Tails often dried and used in home cooked stools. Cool!
Yeah.
That's actually really neat.
Apparently,
Biddy
like
is very excited.
Apparently, it's like, yeah, it's sweet.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Well, they use it as a fishing lure, yeah?
Yeah. It would probably be like a sweet and slightly sweet and salty. Like,
yeah. I can imagine. It's almost like they've been soaking in brine for years. Yeah. A really, really long marinade.
Actually, you could eat the other.
Yeah.
But like, there's a completely accessible, available nature right there on the tank.
Yeah.
Like, that's very silly. Apparently, it lends.
Well, yeah, that's the whole Galar thing. Is they're obsessed with curry. So.
Yeah, that's because of like Indian immigrants into Britain. That's why. Curry is a big thing in the UK because of Indian immigrants.
Sure is.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack with this logo here. It's literally the same animal, but written by another animal.
So now you have Slowpoke tail and shellfish. Biddy Plays is calling it a giant escargot. Is it enlightened though? It's not. I mean, Slowking is, because Slowking is bit on the head. And that's what enlightens it. Yep. Yeah, Pokemon's kind of fucked up sometimes.
Oh my god.
Yep.
survivability in the long run. You're doing a public service by removing its tail temporarily.
That would actually like probably be a really good way of doing it. Like, take a Slowpoke, you let it evolve into a Slowbro, then you cut off the tail so it no longer feels pain. So it's not in any pain when you remove the tail, and then it's gonna grow it back, and then it's fine. This is a hunk of metal.
It's a magnet. If you're the kind of bitch that eats magnets.
How big is it? Yep.
It's 1 foot long.
I mean, maybe you could. I don't even know if the nails would really. Yeah, it's not gonna happen. Ah, it is 1 o'clock.
If you have pica. It's possible if you have pica.
No, no, I'm not gonna laugh. It's not funny. I'm not. Nope. 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 Not. Nope.
Like, if you really want to push it, what you could do is that
do we want to push it? Do we really want to push it?
We said eat all Pokemon.
We've already gone past multiple Pokemon that we said probably wouldn't be edible. Or edible at a great cost.
Yeah. There is a way to eat just straight iron, and it's just like you cook it down a bit into a soup, and the soup has some iron in it. This is done in certain regions of the world where anemia is a big problem. Or you just like drop some straight up fucking iron to let cook into the food for a bit.
We've lost our audience, by the way. I want to hit 100 before we end the stream, though.
Yeah. Okay.
Biddy Blaze says, "Cost your morality." Do you think we care about that at this point? Do you really think that's a concern? Farfetch'd comes with its own garnish.
It does. It's literally a duck.
Oh, nope. We still got Izzy-Lecco.
Yeah.
We still have an audience.
We've got 6.
We shall continue.
Yeah, we have 6 people.
Oh.
Yeah. It's a duck that comes with its own leek garnish, so it's very edible. Galarian comes with an even bigger garnish.
I don't know where they get the leek. Because, again, when you make curry in Galar, you can add a Farfetch'd leek to your food. So, does the Farfetch'd go and find a new one? Is the leek different from a wild leek? Is there something inherently scuffed about the Farfetch'd leek? Is leek even a real word anymore?
They are 2 feet tall, so that's a very enormous leek. So I guess what makes
Biddy
it
says it is just a normal ass leek.
I guess what makes it a Farfetch'd leek is its enormous size, deemed worthy to be picked by a Farfetch'd. This is a bird.
Yep. It's a flightless one, too.
Yeah.
Got a lot of neck, though, and I do know that people eat, like, goose neck, right? That is a thing?
Mostly bird necks are just soup. The bone for soup. And that's about all you can do with it. Like there's not much meat on a neck. It's very stringy and kind of a bitch to like poke apart from the Butterfree.
Yeah.
So like stock. And that's what you can do with it.
Yeah.
Slightly more promising in terms of possible edibility of the body.
Big leg.
Yeah. It will make a mighty drumstick. It's 6 feet tall.
Very mighty drumstick.
Yeah. That'll give you some extra hearts if I ever saw one. It's a seal. You can eat it, but you'd be eating a seal.
I'm gonna go grab a snack a second.
Yeah, fair. In terms of seal, you can eat them. Mostly it's just blubber. Like, blubber is the biggest yield you can get out of a seal. In terms of, like, needing to eat them. And, stay away from any of the internal organs, and you're good. Again, it's a seal. Blubber. It's a fatty boy.
I've returned and I've obtained 3 pickle spears.
Nice.
After this, I may perhaps have a pepperoni.
Nice. Seals are fatty boys that contain many blubber.
And again, they are predators, so there's the whole,
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, one of its abilities is literally thick fat.
Just don't eat the internal organs and you'll be fine. Yeah.
Don't eat it.
It's poison. It's poison.
It's the stuff that you find in your, like, sink's drain pipe.
But was animated because of lunar radiation. Something's going on in the Pokemon world.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
If lunar radiation is significant enough to be doing shit like that, something's going on.
You don't think everything else about the setting indicates that something funky is going on? This is what tips you off.
So here's the thing. So, Grimer, by the definition prepared here, is sludge animated by lunar radiation. So, you made your own sludge. Your own edible sludge.
Could you turn it into a Grimer?
Yeah. And then that would be edible. So,
I'm not counting it. Yeah. I'm not counting that.
So, like, also, it says that, like, diet causes its body composition to change. So, potentially, the edibility of the Grimer is dependent on the diet you feed it. So,
you're right.
If you feed it the right diet, it's probably edible. So, like, a wild Grimer.
Definitely, yeah.
Is the Grimer.
Oh, I just realized what they'd be good for, and I don't like it.
What?
Aenor, they're baby food.
Oh my god. Horrible. This is just the evolution of Grimer, and they're going to say much applies. Just feed it the proper diet.
Also, Biddy, because I forget to put things in plural or singular sometimes, Biddy is asking why just one pepperoni.
Shoulder. It's an oyster.
Yep. Blurp.
Just eat it like an oyster. just steam it.
Izzy, I've seen baby foods. I've seen more baby food than I ever wanted to or enough for multiple lifetimes. If we're going with Aenor's proposition of feeding it only food, the end result would just be baby food.
Yeah.
It's just baby food.
Yeah.
Honestly, you could probably get a pretty, like, really nutritious baby food out of that, if you, like, feed it consistent, like, dietary stuff.
Oh yeah.
Like, you could have, like, factory-raised ones where it's, like, fed a very specific diet.
Yeah.
So that the end result is, like, ideal baby food.
Yeah.
I don't like
Shelter.
any of the words coming out of my mouth, by the way. I'm not happy about any of this.
So, Shelter, it's got the rare honor of having the exact same name as its Japanese name. It's an oyster. Just fucking boil it. And then season it to your heart's desire.
Florp.
Just short. Cloister. Slightly different story. I don't like anything that's going on in this picture. For several reasons.
Looks like a part of the body I shouldn't mention on stream.
It's okay, we already said this isn't for kids.
Well, it looks like a vagina.
Yeah, it's
And the like, it looks like it's got a full-on clitoris. It is a clitoris.
it's a full pussy, does it? And apparently its face is pearl, so like it's you can't eat pearls with in a vein of
Yeah.
blood. Like there's no net nutritional benefit from it. Edible, but impractically so.
Is just a floating cloud of iodine gas.
It's poisonous.
It's also made of souls.
Use it as combustion fuel for other food. That'll do it. Will impart a particularly cursed flavor.
Literally.
Is Hunter tangible?
Hunter is a purple Pokemon with a gaseous body. Gas is composing its head, covering into its mouth, forming level teeth. Disembodied hands with 3 clawed fingers, each float in front of its body, yada yada yada. One of the lightest Pokemon in existence.
Once approachable, with the victim inflicting convulsions that will last until death.
Yep.
Drugs. The answer is drugs. Let it handle the food. It's drugs.
Today has been Eat the Children, the answer is drugs. I don't know what the third one is yet, but I'm sure it'll be something.
It'll happen. Gengar is corporeal. It looks slightly more corporeal than the other ones.
I don't think so. Well, how heavy is it?
They can float and shit.
It has weight.
Yeah.
You also have to consider you would probably be eating, like, actual souls.
Edible, depending on your religious and overall.
I put this in the same category as Ninetales. Edible, but at what cost?
Yep. I mean, it's a very fatty looking lad. But it is mostly a head.
Yeah.
onyx.
It's rocks.
It's a fucking rock.
Choking on a pickle. It's a chain of gray boulders.
With a magnet brain.
Yep.
Use it as a cooking stone. Cook food on it.
Biddy says, some Pokemon are just the ghosts of small orphan children. Can't wait to get to those.
Once again, reaching to our predecessor on Modest Proposal. It's like onyx. If you can at all influence what rock it is made out of, you could make it out of salt rocks.
Yeah, but how much salt would you have to feed it?
Yeah, that's the biggest thing there.
It's a very, very much like cost reward there.
Yeah.
Like, I think you'd end up giving it more salt than you take just because of how much would like rub off on the surroundings.
Yeah. It's a cooking rock.
Yeah.
Like it's a rock. It's not really gonna feel the pain, so just use it to cook food on a hot day.
Now, Drowsy actually looks like an animal again.
Yeah, that's like a fucking.
That looks edible.
That's a tapir.
And that trunk could be nice.
Oh yeah, that would definitely be. It's a muscle, but it's like.
Notably, we do not condone the eating of tapirs.
Yeah. Real life tapirs are endangered animals. But this guy is a psychic Pokemon and therefore scrumptious and tender.
Correct.
And those especially would be very, the muscle would be soft.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's Japanese name? Sleep. You're sleepy.
Sleepy. And then the English name really kept the spirit. It is scrumptious. It looks like it's been chocolate dipped.
Not as scrumptious, but still edible, I think.
Yeah. Still soft and tender by virtue of being a psychic Pokemon.
Yeah.
Crappy.
I think this one, not as much as most psychic Pokemon, because it's still got defined, like, muscle. Yeah. But still. Crappy. This is a crab.
It's a fucking crab. Big meaty claws. Kingler, again, it's a fucking crab.
Kingler is very funny to me because I know, like, what the actual crab it's based off of is like, with that giant claw. The reason it's funny is because that giant claw is completely useless, and it's only there because the female crab thinks it's very sexy. So the male crab, it has one functional claw and it's tiny, and it's given up an entire limb just to be attractive.
It's given up an entire limb to get bitches.
Yes. That is why Kingler is so funny to me.
Maidenless behavior.
Gigantamax Kingler haunts my nightmares.
It's got a fucking bubble beard going on.
Please don't click it. I don't want to look at it.
Yeah.
As I've already established, I don't like spider crabs. And do you know what that's based on?
Presumably a spider crab.
Spider crabs and king crabs, which are almost as bad. Not quite, but very close.
Yeah. It's 4 feet long, so that's a very fucknormous.
Let's move on, please, immediately. I don't like giant crabs. I have very well established that I don't like giant crabs. What the fuck is that?
It's a Pokeball.
No, the Houston what he
Oh, that's the new Pokemon region from Pokemon Legend
Well,
Arceus.
I know Hisui.
I've never heard it pronounced by someone who knew how to pronounce it, but I've heard most people call it Hisui, but that doesn't sound right.
No, it doesn't.
Like,
This is
my knowledge wants to say it's Hisui.
This is
it looks like Hisui.
Permantha wants it flower all over again. I'm not gonna say it because I can't.
God, that's just staring looking. That's begging to have 10 extra syllables added to it. Dama. Hate that. Compelling theory. It's literally a Pokeball that got Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Does that mean it has meat inside it?
It depends entirely on your headcanon.
On the inside, they contain numerous seeds.
That's
Apparently,
the new ones, or yeah, where they're like made from wood. It has a distinctive red wooden unibrow. So either it's empty, or it's filled with vague, unspecified meat, and not in the same way that the cocoons were, but in a like failed science experiment kind of way, like mystery flesh pit levels of unknown meat.
Yeah. Hisui and Voltorb has seeds inside of it. You could probably eat, but classic Voltorb. It's eat at your own peril.
Yeah. Mystery flesh pit still fucks me up every now and then. You do know what I'm talking about, right? I'm not just talking about nonsense. Okay.
Yeah.
That wasn't in like a. Of course you know what I'm talking about. That was more of like just making sure we're on the same page.
Yeah.
Yes, this is a bomb. Please don't eat it.
Yeah. This is a bomb. We don't know what happens if you eat it. If you want to progress science, and not a moment longer.
If you eat it, write it down.
Yeah, so that it'll be science, and this is Pokemon 100, which means that's probably a decent time to stop for our own sanity.
Agreed.
Yeah.
We will definitely be continuing this because this is very entertaining.
The series of all time. Eat all Pokemon.
Well, determine whether or not we can eat all Pokemon.
Yeah. Attempts
do
to
our
eat
damnedest to eat them. Yes. A modest Pokeproposal.
Yeah. Ooh.
Woohoo.